Hi everyone, today I'm going to do a video tutorial for a Easter page that's coming out by In the Hoop with Lee. And this is the page 1. I'm starting with the felty hoop, and let's get started. Okay, so here I've got it all set up on the machine. Now I went with the exact same colors that are in the step-by-step PDF instructions. They're really super easy to follow, and this is a great scrap buster. Okay, so here's the file all pulled up. You can see each of the eggs are through here that are all different sizes. The carrot's designed to be a pull that holds your lacing as you go through, and each of the eggs we're going to size sort when we get the whole page together. Now I've actually already done this once earlier, and then we're going to go through and do it again, but you can see just all the little pull holes where we're going to, when we cut those out, they'll have the lace that runs through them, and then our Easter egg basket. And this piece has the option to snap on at the top of the page. Now, when I did this, I actually just used the same colors that are in the PDF file. It's very easy to follow through. It's basically a placement, a tack down, and trim. Repeat for each one of the felties, and this is fantastic stash buster for all of your little scraps. For me, I just have baskets in front of each of my jelly rolls, so I can just grab that basket with whatever little piece I need. So let's get started. Now with each of these stops, you're going to want to make sure that your scrap piece is probably trimmed about a good 1/4 to a 1/2 inch around, just so when the additional pieces around are tacked down that you don't end up overlapping it and doubling up your felt anywhere. Something I did want to mention, now you can see I've just stitched the orange set, so you've got an egg, your carrot, and then your banner piece, is that make sure when you put your scraps on, before the actual placement on all of them, that you make sure that this basket is cleared, because each one of the major eggs are going to stitch out a tiny egg in the basket, and so you don't want to stitch over that with your colored felt. Okay, as you can see, now we've got all of our little banners and egg pieces all stitched out. Now we're going to work on the basket. So we're going to put an applique over here, which for anyone who doesn't know, applique just means we're putting another piece of fabric on top of our hoop. So I'm going to grab the brown for my basket. It's right over here. And go ahead and get this little piece on and tack it down. And this puts me at step 28 for anyone who's following along. Sorry, we're missing the camera stand today, so we're kind of juggling it. Okay, so we got this all tacked down, and you see, and now I've trimmed it along this top edge, so it's relatively smooth, but you can actually get this trimmed up better once it's out of the hoop, but it's not really going to matter in this case. We're going to applique another piece over here after we do our detailing on the basket. This is actually going to stitch a little green trim line after it does our detailing, and then the placement for the white fluff that's going under our eggs. Here's our detailing stitch. And it's real easy with these kind of designs to just float your felt in the hoop instead of having to tape it down or use some type of adhesive, because anytime you add adhesive to your project, you're just getting more gunk up into your needles and into your machine, which means we're doing servicing a whole lot more often, which of course gets costly. So the fewer things you can put into your machine, the fewer things you have to clean out of it. Now, this is actually not a real stop. It's a color change, but if you'll look on mine, although I've got 10 needles, I'm actually using 11 colors in this, so I'm going to have to change that teal into a gray to finish out the detail work up here on my egg. So hold on. Okay, and as you can see, when I did that color change for the gray, I've trimmed out my excess for my white, so when I finish up this detailing, we can put the back on, and then it's just going to run through for the other 22 minutes of the design. And I've trimmed around our basket, so you see the little curve there. And why I said it's really not that important to have the top of the brown perfect, because it's midway up under here. Nope. And so now we're going to let this run. This is going to do all of our gray detailing on the egg for our cracks in the shell. And then it's going to come down here and do a design on each of these little pendants with polka dots and stripes and such. And then I'll catch back up when we float the back. All right, now we've got all of our detail work stitched down. See, there's all of our little detail on those. And we're ready to float the back. So we're right here at step 37 of 49. And this is, we're going to put our felt on the back, and it's going to go through and stitch all of these down so we have double-sided felties. So just pull your hoop. For anybody who's never floated before. Just flip it over. See if I can get the camera to stay up here. Probably not. And I just hold the top edge when I have it flipped over. That way I don't buckle as I slide under. Every machine obviously is going to be a little different as to what your trick and tip is. And I can see I've got it all lined up in there. You can actually see the shadowing there a little bit. So there's the felt. And that's going to run for another 4 minutes, and then this is all finished for this hoop. Next we'll be working on the actual page these go to. All right, now we're ready to create our page. Now we've got all of the little eggs down here. There's going to be a slider for our carrot that goes up and down through here. And that eggshell that we made in the felties is going to tack on here to hide as a peeker for the bunny's head. So let's get started. Now our original start is just going to be a placement, just like everything else. Felt is a great background for your quiet book pages. I'm actually going to use a quilting cotton for mine, even though I am finishing it in the hoop. I've applied Wonder Under and then attached it to just a plain piece of felt so I don't have any fraying, because I'm not going to turn and top stitch my page. So let's run our placement. Okay, so we're going to tack this down. Now, if I was using a felt here, you could skip step 3, which is a zigzag to prevent fraying. But with the quilting cotton, you really want it so you don't have any of those little fibers running around on you. Even with the Wonder Under, every once in a while that'll happen. Your next stitch, line 4, is going to be our placement for our grass. Okay, now we're going to attach the grass. And keep your hands out of the hoop. I'm a really bad example of this. Feel more comfortable when I keep my hands on the fabric so I know nothing's buckling up. Now at thread 6, you're going to go through and trim this top across here so we can do the detail stitching. Okay, so we've got that stitch line all trimmed up now, and we're just going to run thread 6, which you can see is our detail on the grass. You want to make sure when you do that trim line that you get it nice and close as you can to the thread. That way you don't have any little fuzzies anywhere. Now we're starting on our bunny part placements. So we did the first two pieces of the eggshell. Now we're stitching the bunny body parts down so they can be trimmed up. Okay, so I cheated and I actually used my placement to put this down because I like to trim after the placement stitch, and that way I can get a closer cut with my applique, and then do the tack down gives it a nice clean edge. So I'm gonna pause here and trim it out, and then we'll move on to the detail work in the pink. Okay, so I got our bunnies all trimmed out. Make sure you remember that little piece there up around the ear. And be careful when you're sliding your scissors in there to poke that hole, because you don't want to go through your base fabric and ruin your page. That'll make for a sad day. See, this little white here is that tiny bit of eggshell that we did first before the gray. So it gives a nice 3D effect that it's layered behind the bunny. Now we're at thread 14. It's going to go through and do the pink detailing on the ears and the nose and tongue. Now we have to applique down our bunny's head. So here's our placement. And then we'll run our tack down. Okay, we're going to trim his head, and then we're going to do the placement for the white Easter egg that's here on the belly, so they can get that marked down, and then later it'll come back and stitch all of the lines that match the eggs that we stitched at in the felties over here for sorting. Alright, got his little face done. Now let's do our placement on the egg. So there's our scrap, and we're at step 18. That's where we're at right now. Okay, so we got our bunny's egg all trimmed out here, nice and neat, and we're getting ready to do all of these little detailing down here. That's just 6 minutes of straight stitching, so there's no need for you to be bored watching the machine run. Something else I was thinking about just now while I was trimming this would be really cute with the bunnies, if you wanted to make it a little more tactile page, is use some of your faux furs, and that way you've got the fuzz from the bunny body, or even a fleece for that matter, just so it has a little more dimension to the bunnies. And then even a vinyl for the egg would give it a nice different tactile sensation. Alright, we've got all of our little eggshell pieces down here, and now we've got our tack down for our eggshell. So take another piece of our scrap here, toss it up in there. Okay, so you can see after I trim this one, you're going to have 9 minutes of stitch time, and it's just going to run through and do all of these little eggs and the eyes and stuff up here. So again, I'm just going to pause the video so you don't have to watch the machine run. Okay, now we have our tack down for our bunny's hands, and we're going to do our placement and trim them. Alright, so now we've got our whole page stitched out pretty much. We're up to step 36, so real close to the end. This is going to start all of our snaps and the slider for our carrot placements. The only thing I've added to this design is I did actually put my finishing frame and my holes in it, because I do a loose leaf quiet book. So I have those at the end, but so those last two steps, 42 and 43, are actually not part of the design. But we're going to get all of these placements stitched, and then we're going to be ready to finish up.